Hey, this is Sri Vishwanath here, and welcome to episode number 35 of the Ask Sri Vishwanath Vedanta Show. In today's video, we're going to talk about how food impacts your devotion. So, one of the most important things, Krishna says the direct way to please God, whoso offers me a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water. So, food, when offered to God and eaten, is the fastest way because it becomes sattvic. Now here's something very important to realize about food. Puri Shankaracharya says that food, when you eat food, three things happen. The gross part that goes out in the excreta from our body. The other part goes into the formation of glucose and all that stuff, nourishment of the body. But the very, very subtle part of that food goes into making up the mind. And this is so powerful. And so much study has been done, and 95% do not know this. Like, just eat food. The third part, the subtle part, is food makes up the portion of the mind. That's why sattvic, rajas, and tamas food is it. So food, when you offer it to God and then eat it, that food becomes sattvic, because you're doing two things. You're offering it, and then it becomes sattvic, and then you're eating. So the way it works is, Ramakrishna's wife Sharda Devi said that the way it works is, when you offer food to God, a light comes out from the deity. Like, I offer it, but how do I know it is? So light comes from the deity, and then it licks it, and then it replenishes. So there's three steps which happen, and you have to go with this assumption that happens. A light comes, it licks, and then it replenishes. Replenishes means it comes back. So it tastes the food, it replenishes. This is what happens in all the best temples in India, as well as when you offer food. So when you offer food, the quantity remains the same, but it's light comes from the deities, it licks, and then it replenishes. That means puts it back. And then when the food that you eat, it is very, very good for you, because what it's going to do is your samskaras, whatever false visualizations you came with, that seed, it is going to transform. So it is an unbelievable way to fasten this process. So Ramakrishna always said there are Brahman. There are three tangible things. One is the Ganges water. It's direct tangible. Then second is the dust of Vrindavan. Third, he said, the prasad of Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath Puri temple. So directly the prasad, that's direct Brahman. Direct tangible Brahman. So obviously most can't have access, and it's one can't go there. But you have to realize this, that food, when offered to God, becomes very, very powerful. Now, why is food given so much importance? Because more than the type of food, who is preparing the food is very important. This is very, very important. Who is preparing the food? Because the person who is preparing the food, his or her energy is passed to the person eating it. That's the whole idea, because the third portion of the food, one goes in excreta, one goes in building the glucose and bones or whatever, all that stuff, fat. But the third portion, the subtle portion, is it goes in making the mind. That means if I prepare the food, my energy will go to the person eating it. This is very, very important. This is why most of the problems have come out in this world now, because people are eating whatever food they want from whoever it is. Who is preparing the food is very important. So here's a very quick story. There are many stories, but here's a quick story. There was a person who was a monk, and he was very good, very disciplined, very pure, all that stuff. And one day, his teacher told him that, one of the householder devotees have called you for a lunch, their place, and all that stuff. So you go and attend. So he went and attended, and he did all the whatever. After the function, he ate the food, and then he was tired a little bit. So he said, "I'll take some rest in the room." And so when he was in the room, he saw a necklace, and his hand went to the necklace, and he grabbed it and put it into his bag, and then went away from the place. And then in the evening, once the impact of the food had gone, he said, what did I do? I mean, he was so pure, so honest, all that stuff. And he like, so what did I do? I mean, I stole the necklace. I mean, how did that happen? And he told his teacher, this is what happened. And so teacher immediately came to know, there's some other issue, who prepared the food and all that stuff. So he went to that place. The teacher went to that place next day with the necklace and said, my student accidentally it fell into his bag or whatever. And he asked the question, who prepared the food? And it went that the person's wife, she was not there at home. So a servant had prepared. So this person, the sage asked to find out the character of the servant. And when they made certain, inquiries about his character, they found out that he was robbing. He had robbed many, many times in the past. And that act of robbery, see, the hand moves, the energy is trapped, was temporarily passed on because he prepared the food, it was temporarily passed on. Now, this most people don't understand, because when your energy is low or it is in Rajasthan, people say, oh, what the hell, I'm eating food. But there's an accumulation of the subtle part. You have to realize that. All these things happening today is because the tamas is so high and people are not ready to accept it. See, one of the things which you have to realize is, if I tell, okay, I'm pure, I am all sattvic, and others also say I'm all sattvic, everyone says that, we can all lie at an individual level, but at the universal level we can't, because the collective energy is seen. We are in trouble. Collective energy you can't fake. You and I can fake individually, but we can't fake collectively. And so what you see today is a classic example that this is what is called dharma, what has been told to us, that who prepares food is very important. Food is sattvic. Food is not just like you eat and fill your stomach. Obviously, there are times when you have no choices. That's a different thing. But today, people are all at home now. People have time. And many are preparing at home now, which they said they will never do it. People are afraid. Many people are eating out or whatever it is. But dharma is following what is laid down. So one of the most easiest thing is food, because it will give you a huge lift. Like, if you don't have much time, then you can prepare a sweet dish once in the weekend to God. That's also a big deal, because what's going to happen is, you're going to get into that mode of worship, of offering and eating. It's going to please. It's a direct way to please God. So food is a very, very important portion, because the third portion is it impacts your subtle mind. And that's why the sattvic buddhi, pure sattvic. So many people are saying pure sattvic, the food, because energy travels. See, prana, there is a prana in the food. It travels. So you can skyrocket your devotion with food. And at the same time, most people don't realize, they pray, they do all these things. But why the devotion? Because in that subtle body, in the antakarna, all these impurities are there. It's just like a floor, you clean the floor, you can see the dust. In the mind, all this have been studied. There is nothing to validate. You can test it out. And it's going to be. So food is a very direct way Like you can make it, or whoever is making it, you should make sure that that person is. That's why food prepared by people at home, spouse, mother, whatever, all that stuff. That's why it's very powerful, because the energy is traveling, and it's a direct way to love God. Your devotion for God will skyrocket if you make food and offer it. Ram Krishna, who was incarnation himself, he used to himself make food and eat it. So there's no further proof needed for that. So if you want more of that, go to www.magicofgod.com, magicofgod.com, to save a couple of decades and to get faster into the liberation mode. Thank you, and God bless.